Good evening. This is the call to order of the regular Board of Aldermen meeting at the Salado Municipal Building located at 301 North Stagecoach Road in Salado, Texas. The date is December 19th, 2024, and it is 6:30 p.m. Ms. Bean, please call the roll. Thank you, ma'am. As we begin this Board of Aldermen meeting, let us take a moment to reflect on our shared commitment to serve the diverse community of the Village of Salado. We invite all present, regardless of faith, belief, or philosophy, to join us in a spirit of unity, respect, and compassion. May our deliberations be guided by wisdom, our decisions rooted in fairness, and our actions driven by the common good. Whether you find inspiration in a higher power, the bonds of humanity, or the wonders of nature, let us work together to build a culture where every voice is heard and every individual is valued. Let's take a moment, please. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the Texas flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the flag and allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Item 1, presentations. We have a presentation by Shay Ludicky, the Bell County Tax Assessor Collector. Mr. Ludicky, want to come on up? Ludicky or Ludecky?
I'm handing money out, so it better not.
There we go.
Well, I don't collect property taxes. I do mostly vehicle registration. So, Mayor, Alderman, thank you for having me this evening. I am Shay Ludicky. I'm your tax assessor collector for Bell County, and I'm actually presenting 2 checks this evening. The first one is the child safety check I do annually, and the second one would be the hotel motel check. Here also representing the county is Commissioner Precinct 2 Bobby Whitson. He asked me to go ahead and present this check to you. So for child safety, our registration numbers were down just a little bit, not much, but it's going to be a little bit less. I believe y'all's was like $20 less than the previous year, so not a lot. But we did collect $1.50 on each vehicle registration on registering 308,083 vehicles across the county in 1 year. That's totaling $462,124.50. So that's a lot of $1.50 fees that we collected in 1 year. Since the program started in 2001, in 24 years, we collected and distributed over $9.1 million across the county. Of that total, we allocated $78,504.02 to the Village of Salado. Next, I'm going to read this paragraph here that explains how these funds are to be used by state law. So as outlined in the Transportation Code, Chapter 502.403, the County Tax Assessor Collector has the authority, with the approval from the Commissioner's Court, to levy an additional $1.50 per vehicle registration, excluding those exempted by code. These funds are earmarked for existing crossing guard programs. In cases where a school district lacks a crossing guard program, the money may be allocated to initiatives promoting child safety, health, or nutrition. This includes support for child abuse prevention intervention, as well as drug and alcohol abuse prevention. Alternatively, the funds can be directed towards programs enhancing public safety and security as per Article 102.014G of the Code of Criminal Procedure. The check for this year's allocation for Salado is $2,703.43. This notification was also sent to Salado ISD Superintendent Michael Novotny. That's presentation number 1 with that check. The hotel motel tax. I don't have a huge presentation for that because I don't actually collect that. The commissioners just asked me to present the check. The check for this year's hotel motel is $14,589.54. With that, I'll hand you the money.
Well, thank you.
It's funny. It's funny. Anytime I ask to come to a city council or village council meeting with money, they put me first. So, okay. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. All right, thank you, Mr. Ludicky. Presentation by Minnie Witzel, commander of VFW Post 12235.
All right. Good evening. I'm Clint Tracy. I'm the Senior Vice Commander. On behalf of Commander Witzel, we wanted to take the opportunity on behalf of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 12235 to say thank you very much for all of you attending the institution of our post earlier this year on the 29th of June over at the Barrel Brewery. And we really appreciate not only your attendance but your support, and we're looking forward to the continued relationship that we have with the city of Salado as we kind of build out our post and have more opportunities to contribute to things in the community. So on behalf of the post, for Mayor Henry, Mayor Pro Tem Bell, Alderman McDonald, Alderman Graham, Alderman Hurst, and our village mayor, La Rosa, we want to say thank you very much and present this certificate of appreciation to the city council for your support of us and for the opportunity for us to stand up to post ownership.
All right, next is item 2, public comments. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comment from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak during this time period, and speakers desiring to speak on an agenda item will be allowed to speak when the agenda item is called. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda will either be directed to staff or placed on a future agenda for Alderman consideration. First up, Ms. Linda Reynolds.
Linda Reynolds, 1110 Mill Creek Drive, Salado. I stopped at Brookshire to get you each a candy cane, and just so you know, and they only had them from Guatemala or from Mexico, and I said, meh. So sorry about that. I'm hoping to run for the empty seat up here this spring, and in the preparation for it, I would love to know way ahead of May 1st how the $10,000 you all gave to the Scottish Festival and the museum, how it was spent and whether it produced anything or not. I think that Alderman McDonald made a motion in November, maybe it was, to go ahead and give the $10,000 out of hotel motel tax to the museum for the Scottish Festival. And in that motion, which everybody has supported, you said that 10,000 should be explained and supported in the spring, and it said by May 1st, and I wondered why are we waiting so long? As candidates sign up to run, it would be good for them to know how you spent that $10,000 and how they spent the $10,000 and whether we did in fact gain anything from it. So I'm wishing you could consider put it on an agenda before, or talk to the woman who runs the museum and see if she can't come in a little earlier and tell us maybe January or February how the 10,000 was spent and whether it produced any support for the village or whether it was just supporting the Scottish Festival. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. De La Rosa, can we get that on a future agenda item, please? January, February timeframe? Thank you. Mr. Street, do you want to speak now? Okay, come on up.
Thank you. My name is Darrell Street. I live at 859 North Ridge Road, Salado, Texas. I've been a resident of Salado for over 25 years. I started in town, so never planning to leave. And I'm here for the duration. What I need to ask on the rollback of taxes or something, and it's out of line, as far as where you want to discuss that within the meeting, you tell me that. I read where the adopted rate during the budget process is 0.48 something, is that correct? And then if the petition passes, they'll be voting on the 32 point something, I forgot, and I saw it in his voice, so I don't think it's in here. Will the people be billed next year for the taxes owed in 25 if the petition is successful and the election is successful? Will they be billed the adopted rate and then paid back, or will they be billed the adjusted rate by the election result? Did that make sense?
It does make sense, Mr. Street. Unfortunately, I can't comment or respond to your questions right now. What I can do is when Mr. De La Rosa gives his report here in a few minutes, he and I can discuss that publicly. But I cannot respond to your questions right now on this.
That's fine. And I'd like to be the first one to say I hope there's a ground as well in this community for the council, what the adopted rate of that's what you built your budget on, that's what you're spending your money on. After you go in there and tell somebody you want everything done in the budget, that you're going to cut the budget. Now, we went through that with the school board one time, and the state limited it to $1. And it's just an impossible task. You cannot win that way. Elected officials cannot operate that way. The people voted on these people that voted for that budget. And I think it's just a case of kind of done glorification to themselves. And I don't think it's even honorable what they do. And I don't like to do it, but I hope to lead for the group to support council and reject that petition.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. Item 3, the consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes of November 21st, 2024 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. B, approval of the minutes of December 9th, 2024, the special Board of Aldermen meeting. Approval of the contract services from May 3rd, 2025 elections between Bell County Elections Administrator and the Village of Salado. D, acceptance of the Tourism Department monthly report. And E, acceptance of Police Department monthly report. Alderman Graham, do you have any questions about anything on the consent agenda?
I do not.
Alderman Hurst?
I do not.
Alderman McDonald?
No, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Mr. Del Rosso, do you have anything else you want to add to this? Any public comments on this? No? I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion to
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second. Seconded by flip coin, Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented, specify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Ms. Bean, that passes 4-0. Item 4, discuss and consider possible action regarding any item removed from the consent agenda. There are none. Item 5, status reports. A village administrator's report. Mr. Del Rosa.
Good evening. Before you have line, I actually provided you not only what was for September, but also for October. So you'll see November of 2024 was $81,489, and it's receiving was $75,000, $6,000 more. Now look at in the October, September of 2024, $78,643, and so we've had some good months. So since we're having these reports later in the month, because the first thing is too early in the month, we don't have all the reports, so I'm sure able to share more information with you. Any questions on this?
Alderman Hurst? Alderman McDonald?
No, ma'am.
Move on to this. Next item, discussion on petition for tax rate reduction. Since we had a special call meeting, you might recall that we had a petition, we received 117, 160 of them were determined to be valid. That met the 3%, so therefore you adopted a resolution recently validating that petition and that we would be calling for a tax reduction collection every year. So I anticipate that ordinance, along with the ordinance for the upcoming alderman position for the potential of the January 2nd. Already been prepared and it's going to be reviewed by me. So again, there was a question raised about the 40.6%, which is what the evaluation report was adopted for the current activity. The voter approved tax rate is 33.4% for the overall valuation. Okay, so the difference between both, $470,300. You can get into my news stuff. You can look at the big. You don't just get to go from 48.6 to last tax rate, which is somewhere 39%. You get to the voter approval rate because your appraisal will blind out. Right? So later on this evening, we're going to discuss how we're going to start hitting back services, pay increases, and other amenities, so you can start saving the $470,000 that you're going to be required to pay it back. Here's taxes. So unless there's any questions on that, I'll move on to the next.
Well, I have a question.
Oh, yes.
All right, so basically our budget is simply being funded in the eventuality or possibility of that vote being in favor of that position. So we basically have to hold our municipal breath and stop doing a lot of things until that either passes or fails to hedge our bet or be prudent in terms of that rebate if it does happen. Am I hearing that right?
That is correct. It is my opinion, and it is that of your professional consultant, your city attorney, that should we not take this seriously, we could be so complicit in not taking the petition seriously. Yeah. Right? So therefore, it is my recommendation that we make some measures to start that saving, and as we start approving those purchases, the freezes, whatever we've got to do to get there, with your approval, and somewhere along the way, should we not, should tax adjustments occur, we'll have to amend our budget, and we'll have to make preparations. We need to pay Dallas County Tax Office to help us prepare what we owe back.
Yeah.
And that comes at an additional cost. So
whether this thing passes or fails, we're going to take it on the chin to a certain degree in terms of monetary And also, let me make sure I'm clear on this. So, potholes, oh well, right?
No, I am recommending.
Long grass, oh well. So that's what the petition is doing.
That is correct.
Fantastic. Thank you. I have no other.
I do real quick, because I know we pay our electric bill. Can we do something about this heat here, please, that it's hot? And I'm getting text messages from people in the audience saying, can we please do this? For Tim. I have some questions myself, but I'll hold mine. Hey, Mayor Pro Tem?
Using the opposite way, saying, safe to say that nation states that the system doesn't have
You are looking at having a balance that will, you would not have spent it. That is correct.
And we are planning town hall meetings for the second Thursday of every month for January, February, March, and April. So 4 opportunities to come here and hear what this is, what it isn't, what the budget is, what it isn't, what we're doing, what we're not. We all see it on social media. We see it everywhere else. And I've said it up here multiple times, and I'm going to say it again. Be careful with what you believe, what you see on the internet, what you see on Facebook and things of that nature, because they're not privy to these conversations, and they've not reached out to me. To my knowledge, they haven't reached out to the rest of this board. They haven't reached out to Mr. Rosa to find out exactly what is going on with the money. And I'll use the stroll for example. There was a post tonight about the $10,000 that was spent for the shuttle during the stroll. And with a picture of our red golf cart back here. By law, our golf cart cannot be used to travel up and down these frontage roads because the speed limit's too high, that kind of thing. It's just not something that can be done. The money that was used for and the request is, hey, we need a shuttle for the stroll. So we provided one. And they complained because we spent the money on it instead of using the golf cart that we have here. That money was hotel occupancy tax money. It had nothing to do with the general fund. We did not spend that out of our budget for the general fund. So again, enough of the nonsense. I'm overhearing the conspiracy theories. I can talk about facts all day long. If you want to bring facts up here, you want to talk to us about the things that are really going on, my phone number is out there. I'm not hard to find. My email's out there. These guys' information's out there. Manny has an open door. You want to come in here if he has time to talk, to have a conversation with you. Please just be more responsible with your conversations, and really let's not put out bad information, because it just creates we've been accused of fear mongering when actually the opposite is true. Those type of things and that type of misinformation, that's exactly what that is. So the second Thursday of every month, January, February, March, and April, we're going to do it here, and it's going to be town hall. We're putting together, it'll be a Q&A. It's not a debate. It's not an opportunity to get up here and complain. It's a conversation about where we're at, where we're headed, and what we're going to do to get there. And then we'll open it up for questions. If you have questions, if you're questioning for understanding, I have no issues at all answering those questions. So, Mr. Del Rosso, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Mayor and Alderman, I know that you're aware of, and I'm aware of. We cannot advocate in favor of the tax rate or in reduction of the tax rate. This is nothing more than an information study to tell you why we are not doing this, why we're not providing certain services.
And there were conversations that were had before we adopted the tax rate. We got the information from the Bell County Tax Assessor's Office later than we anticipated. Therefore, we had to kind of fast forward in the way that we were doing things, and me and Tim Fleischer had a conversation. He asked a question about, well, why are we moving so quickly on this? Because we had dates that we had to meet, deadlines that we had to meet, but also we anticipated this petition. So in order to give these individuals that were going to submit this petition, in order to give them time to fall within those parameters and meet their deadlines, we moved because it's their right to do so, and we support their right to do so. I even went as far as to speak to the individual that was going around and getting signatures and said, if you don't meet the deadline because of us and that you want to take it to a district court judge, I will come testify on your behalf to allow this thing to go through. But so to say that we're up here, I think it was saber rattling or whatever word was used to say what we're doing up here. Again, it's just, there's no fact to it whatsoever. I've made myself available. These gentlemen have made themselves available. He's made himself available, so it's nobody's fault but your own for not reaching out and asking those questions. I'll talk about it all day, every day if you want to. So let's just stay off Facebook. Don't get your information from there. Anything else?
Nope.
Good?
Okay.
Yeah, next item, let's get it.
Okay, discussion on sewer service utility billing. You might recall that I've already kind of answered that once before, but this is like if there's an item, I want to be able to address any questions we have on how we handle our residential commercial billing or even the impact fee. I just showed you what this is impacting those fees, right? So, and then based on that, we can continue that dialogue. But as you said, we are Jennifer Phelps is the lead on this. Any one of us, there are others, but we can talk about customers, but she is the face. She handles all the billing, she put them out, and particularly, I'm very consistent. But we spend time making sure that we understand the formula on how we collect your bill. It's a learning process. So we're there, and we are still auditing. We've been, Mary, you might recall, we sit on the board with our county department. We've had information from that on the septic system, but we are not confirming which septic system. Which septic systems have been decommissioned, and if they've been decommissioned, they're in all likelihood on our system. So now we're going to those septic, but there are probably 8 boxes in my office of applications that we've gone through, going through full records, confirming people that either made a permit to connect, but didn't submit a wastewater permit, or vice versa. So, in some of those, so we are reconciling this all the way back. And like I said, we still have a few that have not connected and need to be done. So we are pursuing this with the staffing that we have. Part-time. Any questions on that?
Manny, you remember a few meetings ago, we had the gentleman that lives over in Eagle Heights that Kenny spoke about his wastewater bill, and I think the mayor asked if he can go back and take a look and kind of see the nexus of that and what's going on with that. Are we at a point to talk about that yet, or
not just specifically, but I did go back and we had conversations. The water rates vary, and that's how we pay for sewer. We did see that. We found some that were connected as much as 18 months ago, but we didn't know that under the administrative law, the public utilities text is going to go back 12 months. Okay, so that's where we stop. And again, it's an educational process teaching our clerk to be utility billing special and follow the state statute, not outlining our ordinance. So, but based on that conversation, and I become self actually watching the video, you can see that conversation. So, you know what we've got. And I think some of it is just kind of wrong because based on that response first time, I think address where we were at. Well, that's the point on we have when we follow it. It is very simple for us. Look at those ones. If you only live in a house that's 3 months old and you don't have that history, you certainly don't have this minimum, then we kind of look at 1 or 2 months at a time. We do that. We could just come up with a better adjustment. So we will look at it as 1 month. The issue is, for every time we have to look at everyone specifically, we have to make a request to the Water Supply Corporation, and we pay for that information each and every time for each address. Okay, so it is costly. So we want to make sure that we look at these things and just we are reaching a good understanding of every sport without any pay for it. I'm hoping that we're developing a better working relationship with that. Does
So I think one of the concerns with this voice was, do we have any citizens that, do we have any citizens that are having to pay wastewater bills for usage that took place before they occupied and or bought their house?
And the instructions are, as a matter of fact, I had a conversation with somebody recently on another person, and that house was vacant for a certain number of months. So I had a conversation with one of the spouse, another spouse handled it, where they can kind of tell us when they moved in and I was given those months.
Yeah.
So if that's what it is, and from what I can tell, it's probably correct. So I did, and in fact, we can do the mayor mentioned it.
Okay, so we have an adjudication mechanism in place to address.
We will always look at, if not, then we go look at the Bell County Appraisal District website to see when that warranty deed is on there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it's not immediate. It takes about 6 months for that document to show up, and that tells us the purchase date.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, the developer's be going buck wild with the sprinkler system before anybody buys the place. And then the individual buys the place, and then he's got to deal with that use before he even owns the property.
That's right. Yeah. And we won't, we're prohibited under those administrative laws to let somebody else's water bill.
Mr. Hurst. Alderman McDonald.
No, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem. Did I answer your question, Mr. Street? Okay. Yeah. So your question was if the rollback, this petition, if it's successful, it will go back to the 36 cents.
That means soon thereafter, after the closing of the current fiscal year, right? At $470,300, it's not based on a maintenance, that is based on an entire year. 12 months.
So if the petition is successful, currently the tax statement they're going to get is going to be for that 48 cents. If the petition is successful, we will then cut checks, refund checks to the taxpayers for the difference. Okay. It's already come out.
Tax statement's already come. I've already paid that. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
You did.
You did.
Yeah. So you paid for this upcoming taxes, and if the taxes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Mrs. Del Rosa?
One more item, Mayor.
Yeah.
Chief Fields would like to introduce our employee that is in the academy that recently been passed his exam and is now a commission chief officer. He's been sworn in. So Chief Fields and Officer Bill will step forward.
Mayor, members of the Alderman, I'd like to introduce I'd like to introduce you to Officer Mark Trevaux. Officer Trevaux was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. He joined the Army at age 18, where he was a 19 Delta Cav Scout. Mark had 3 major deployments, 2 in Iraq, 1 in Syria, where he was awarded the Combat Action Badge. Mark went on to serve 5 years in a counter-drug task force with the 19th and the 20th Special Forces Group, and he has recently retired from the military. Back in June, if you remember, I came before you and requested to put him into the academy. It is a great honor to not only give a man a job, but give a man a career. And so Mark attended the academy. He has since completed the academy. He went he completed the academy on December the 5th. He went down on December the 17th and passed his chief officer license. So we sworn him in that afternoon, and he came to work right early, 6 a.m. the morning. A little on the personal side, Mark is married. He and his wife Brittany live here in the village of Salado. So it's nice to get a homegrown employee here. Like I said, they live here in Salado with their 3 kids, Harley, Colby, and Riley Joe. I can tell you one thing that really stood out when I interviewed Mark was he was really looking forward to transitioning from the military and finding a way to continue to serve. And that's the kind of heart that we're looking for, somebody who wants to serve. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce you, Officer Mark Trudeau.
We appreciate you, Chief. Officer Trudeau, we welcome you to the Salado Police Department. You're joining a very, really just exemplary team. They've done a great job in turning around what the community thought about our police department. And this past National Night Out was proof of that. They had a great turnout, and so I commend you, Chief, for you and what your folks are doing. And welcome to the team, Officer Trudeau. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. De La Rosa, anything else?
No, man.
We're good to go? Okay. Next is item 6, public hearings and possible action. A, hold a public hearing on the creation of the Mustang Springs Public Improvement District in accordance with Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code. This public hearing was convened on November 21st, 2024, and the matter is in recess and will continue December 19th, 2024, right now. The time is 7:08, and we will reconvene this public hearing. If anyone wants to get up and say their piece about the creation of this PID.
Larry Michael, 1546 Long Meadow, Salado, Texas. Are we continuing this, or is it going to close? There's nobody here from the developer is here to present.
We're gonna. That's the next item on the
Okay.
agenda. Is our whatever action we're going to take. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. De La Rosa, you have anything you want to add to this?
Yes, sir. Let me add the developer, Mr. Kirby, was planning to be here. But something came up without getting into the personal matter, but he was unable to be here, and we were not expecting his consultant.
Alderman Graham? Alderman Hurst? Alderman McDonald? No. Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Okay. This is 7:09. We're going to come out of this public hearing. And before we enter into B, discussion of possible action on closing the public hearing on the creation of the Mustang Springs Public Improvement District, we need to very briefly enter into executive session. We're going to go into the back room. We need to meet with our attorney, and he's got some information he needs to fill us in on. But we are going to run to the back room real quick with our attorney and Mr. De La Rosa, and y'all just sit tight. It shouldn't be, but just a few minutes. So 7:10, we're going to enter into executive session. It is 7:23 and we are leaving executive session and re-entering the regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Item 6B, discussion and possible action on closing the public hearing on the creation of the Mustang Springs Public Improvement District. Mr. Del Rosa, it's my understanding we're going to close this without taking any further action.
That is that recommendation.
Okay. All right. I will. Yeah. Alderman Graham, do you have anything you want to add to this or questions?
Ready for them.
Okay. Let me go down the line here.
Nope.
Okay. There's no more questions. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald.
You have motion. You have motion.
I'll open it to a motion.
Okay, thank you. Make a motion that we close this meeting as in B of the public hearing. Thank you, as written.
Motion made to close the public hearing on creation of the Mustang Springs Public Improvement District by Alderman McDonald. Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of closing the public hearing on the creation of the Mustang Springs Public Improvement District, specify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Any abstentions? Meaning that passes 4-0. C, hold a public hearing on the conditional use permit application CUP 24-004 to allow construction of an accessory dwelling, a guest house / pool house at 514 Indian Trail. Ms. Pence, is this yours? All right.
So good evening, Mayor and Alderman. Tonight we are going to be discussing the CUP 24004 for the accessory dwelling at 514 Indian Trail. The purpose of this conditional use permit application is to allow a guest house / pool house at the said property. I do want to make clear that the public hearing notice was published on November the 8th. The neighborhood notices were mailed out on November the 6th, and the Village of Salado received no responses for or against the CUP at 514 Indian Trail. That's all I have to on the hearing.
Any public comments on this? Oh, okay. Alderman Brown, you have any questions?
You're opening the public hearing, right? Or you already did?
Already did. Okay. Nobody? Okay. We'll close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item D, discussion of possible action on the conditional use permit application CUP TAC 24-004 to allow construction of an accessory dwelling, a guest house / pool house at 514 Indian Trail.
Mayor and Alderman, I'm going to go ahead and pick back up here. The CUP application for 514 Indian Trail was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission on November the 26th. We did have one neighbor that attended the meeting. They really were just here to learn about the project. They did come up to the podium, but when asked, they had no comment to speak for or against. They were gathering information. Other than that, there was no other comments that evening for regarding the CUP. And P&Z recommended approval 4-0, so it did pass the commission. I do want to say that staff is recommending approval contingent upon a covenant being filed that runs with the land, ensuring that any future property owners cannot use the accessory building known as a pool or guest house as a rental, therefore maintaining the property's single-family use in the future. The owners are here tonight to speak on behalf of this project as well.
I don't have any questions.
Alderman Hurst. Alderman McDonald.
General question to Mr. Del Rosa, if I may, or Ms. Pence. Sorry. General term. So when this was built up, because I went and looked at the property, drove from the city street side, a lot of dirt was removed there. Just a general question: is there, based on prior history of erosion issues when we started doing a lot of dirt work, was there any requirement needed for this regarding water runoff, things of that nature, so we don't have to deal with this in the future from a future resident or neighbor? Anything like that? Was it required?
No, the answer is no. Let me take it in a sense. Alderman, no. So we did have a person raised today about the property, about potentially draining or flooding their property, draining onto their property or flooding the property.
Yes, sir.
So I had the permit clerk pull up the records on that property. There was a permit issued for a primary structure in March of this year. There was a rough-in plumbing in October, and as early as December 4th or 5th, early December, the foundation inspection. So I'm sure you saw some of these things out there. So I'm sure you probably saw a retaining wall. So based on that inquiry that we received today, we will either have Bureau Veritas, building inspectors, or we may have our city engineers look at it. Probably more appropriately our city engineers because they're more accustomed to it. It's not you can build your land. What we're going to do is I got to pull the construction permit, hit it so that where does the water flow, or that the water have a natural gas property. And that raises some concerns.
That's
right?
where I'm going.
We not only do we want to protect our new residents,
yes,
but also the residents that live in proximity to that development. So I did do that today. So I was a little concerned because Ms. Pence indicated that the legal definition for an accessory building for us also includes sheds, greenhouses, pool houses, because it's not exhaustive and it wasn't all inclusive. So this is an accessory building. It's going to be utilized as a pool house. We've had those kind of requests, but it isn't a single family residential district, so therefore we're just trying to protect the integrity of the neighborhood. Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you, Mr. Del Rosa. No further questions, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Pence, by the way.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
Ms. Pence, you mentioned covenant within this agreement. Is that located within the cup itself, or is that covenant located within the deed?
So we will actually file that covenant with the land of that property.
Okay, and that's what will allow it to move through owners.
Through owners and still maintain the integrity of what you approved today.
Okay, what are the remediations if, let's say, owner number 3 after this were to try to rent that property? What would be would there be an ordinance they would be violating? Is there, how do we remediate that?
Well, the deed will be filed at Dale County, so hopefully they will be following that. We won't have an ordinance in place unless that's something that we feel that we'll need to do in the future.
Yeah,
I'm sure Mr. De La Rosa has more to add.
Yeah, let me take it. Our ordinance allows for a conditional use permit. Any conditional permit, you can set the conditions in terms of that issuance. Okay, a covenant that runs with the land gives future homeowners. It does what it does. It gives notice to them that this property has an additional guest house. Most pool houses aren't completed with full bathrooms, tubs, with showers, kitchens, or a stove top with no oven. My understanding, this is a complete self-sustaining structure with everything. So the guest house, whether mother-in-law quarters, whatever they are, it's another full structure, but not the primary. So should a future homeowner come back and says, hey, your zoning has changed and it's no longer single family, I would like to have this covenant renewed. A future governing body can remove it. A city legislative body, a city council places a covenant, the city council can remove the covenant. It is not placed there by staff. It is placed there because you took action and we placed an affidavit that was the decision of this Board of Aldermen on this date.
So would the cup have any kind of reference to the covenant?
Yes, the cup will be the covenant will reference the cup and the action taken by the Board of Aldermen. Yes, sir. It'll be in the affidavit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. 514 Indian Trail. Do y'all have anything you want to add? I'm sorry, I don't know your names.
So, I'm Alicia Thomas, and we currently live in Austin, but we're building 514.
Do you have anything that you want to add? You feel pretty
No, I mean,
pertinent
I can tell you that our intent certainly is that this is our permanent home for the rest of our lives. We do not intend at all to rent it out to anyone. We have an adult child that's in school. We also would like to be able to occupy the space while the house is being completed, so we can sell our house again. But it's to be used for family and friends and no rental whatsoever.
All right. Alderman Graham, you have any questions?
No question.
Alderman Hurst? Alderman McDonald?
Welcome to Salado.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it for sure.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No, but
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you. Okay. Anything else? Any other public comments on this? No public comments on this? Mandy, you have anything you want to add? Nope. Good to go? Okay. If there are no further questions from the board, then I will open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve chapter 24-004 as presented in our agenda pack.
Motion made to approve as presented by Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving conditional use permit application CUP TAC 24 TAC 004 to allow construction of an accessory dwelling, guest house, or pool house at 514 Indian Trail, specify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Ms. Bean passes 4-0.
And for
Thank you.
clarification, with or without a covenant?
What's that?
For clarity,
With the covenant.
With the covenant.
Yes. With the covenant. Thank you. Next is 7, discussion and possible action. A, discuss and possible action on amendment number 4 to the agreement for operations, maintenance, and management services by Operations Management International Incorporated, aka Jacobs. Mr. Del Rosa.
Yes, I believe Ms. Alexander Liz, who is from Jacobs, is still set forward, and also her assistant project manager, Ray.
Hey, y'all. All right, my name is Andrine Alexander. I'm the project manager with Jacobs for the Village of Salado wastewater treatment plant. This is Phil Simon, assistant project manager, recently brought on. This is a small amendment to the contract, more of a clarification to the language. The original, do you have the amendment in front of you by chance?
I put the original on the actual cover sheet of 7A down at the bottom. It says existing 4.3. It's there, and then that very specific language.
Perfect. So the existing language says the owner shall provide for the disposal of screening script, scum, sludges, and biosolids collectively residuals to existing disposal sites. Owner and contractor agree that owner is the owner, that is the Village of Salado, and generator of the residuals. That was the original language. What we have added was a line at the end of that. For clarity, the disposal of biosolids shall be a pass-through cost by contractor Jacobs to owner Village of Salado at such cost shall be paid by owner. We did this more just for transparency, so in the future there isn't any misunderstanding. I had passed on the quote for hauling to Mr. De La Rosa, which was approved, and as of September we have hauled 2 roll-off loads to the Temple landfill for a total of $3,022.18. When we went to go pass this through, my internal project accountant kind of stopped the process to look at the contract language. So it's been kind of internal checks and balances, and she said that the language in our current contract was not clear enough to do this. So we have not yet invoiced. So we made that one line to make it extremely clear on who is to be paying for the hauling costs, and it can be amended at any point in the future should hauling increase in the future. To date, the wastewater plant has only hauled 3 times. So once in the past and twice as of 2024, and it will only increase as the community increases. But everything shall be sent to Mr. Del Rosa for approval prior to anything being done in terms of hauling. Any questions?
I'm all for transparency and clarification, but what prompted, have we not paid a
It
bill?
was an internal, no, other sections of the contract says that if it's equipment failure or something that's not there under, basically you pay for it. Apparently it was an internal matter that said, yeah, we need to clean this up. So it now follows other parts of the agreement. Okay. So having said that, they've also, here recently there was a pump that burned out that they,
Yes, that
took responsibility for, that had, other issues. So historically, at least in the last year, anytime it falls to Jacob, they take ownership of that. But most of anything wear and tear just over time, that's a year cost, and that is still out to the rest of it. So this is kind of in a separate section. That's one that they wanted to clarify. So
it wasn't very clear.
Alderman Graham?
If I'm understanding the action here would be a motion to approve or whatever the amendment, that's what we're gonna end up having to do, is that right?
yes,
That's all.
Alderman Hurst? Alderman McDonald?
First of all, Merry Christmas.
Mr.
Mr. Del Rosa, regarding this amendment, this is a request by Jacobs, correct?
that is correct.
Okay, and this benefits Jacobs, or is this kind of clean up our responsibility? Am I saying this properly?
Well, it does clean it up, but the problem with industry standards, you generate it, you pay for its renewal, which is service standard, you have to contract with every other company, so that's why I didn't involve country. I was wondering why I hadn't gotten billed, and I certainly wasn't going to remind them.
Well, this where my lead on question is. What if we don't approve this? Who eats it from this point on? Because, and how long is our current contract? And I know I'm asking some pretty.
Your contract is about 2027.
Yes, and
yeah.
it does automatic renewal unless otherwise stated,
Yeah.
but anything can be negotiated, so if
Yeah.
it's not approved today, then we'll negotiate at another time and discuss further.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Del Rosa, and thank you, ma'am.
Let me just address that. That's a legal question.
Yes,
I have
it
an
is.
opinion, but I'm not going to offer it.
I understand. I have an opinion, and I'll wait. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
So, Manny, based off the cost I heard, each load is about $1,500 a pop. Give or take. Is that inside a rate sheet? Where's that number?
Yes, it's a rate sheet, so I can provide that rate sheet. I didn't bring it with me today, but I can provide it to Mr. Del Rosa.
Well, I just want to know, is it in the rate sheet today?
Yes, the one I shared with him, or the one,
Yeah, the disposal. I thought you were using market rate because that's
I'm using the hauler's rate,
the haulage rate. Yeah,
which
and
is
that's
Paramount Wastewater.
Yeah. and that
And the cost that's being passed through is not marked up or anything. It's exactly the cost to haul those two go off.
you've got language in there somewhere where it's also about market the rate structure.
I just want to be sure because we're approving an amendment without any reference to a rate sheet or anything, and I want to be sure that we had that documented and it's already set. It's not an arbitrary rate that comes up and is.
The rate has to be approved. So as Paramount Wastewater rates increase annually for whatever, before we haul or do anything, or switch haulers for that matter,
Yes,
it needs
approved.
to be, yes, to approve it. Yeah.
And that's based on market rate.
Yes. We are not going to do anything else prior to it.
Okay, thank you. Ray, you have anything else you want to add? Okay. All right, appreciate it. We're going to open this up to public comments. Anybody wish to speak on this? Come on up.
Katie Hill, 1221 Baines. Just while we're on the topic of wastewater, the lift station on Royal Street has a terrible odor again. It's been going on. I've noticed it at the beginning of December, late November. I talked to the shops at Tex 28 and the bookstore. They've noticed it as well. And for years, that lift station was being treated by the wastewater company or some contractor with a chemical that neutralized the odor of that wastewater lift station, and it's come to our attention that that's not happening at this time. And so I would request that the village or Jacobs, whoever does that, would please look into it, because it definitely had a negative effect on businesses on Royal Street during the Christmas stroll. Thank you.
Mr. Del Rosa, what's the, you and I discussed this a couple of weeks ago, just to recap our conversation. What's the cost on that? And
I
how,
don't recall the cost, Mary. I do, one time it was actually handled by an outside contractor, but it's a cost. Jacobs has certainly said it if they come across it, we get any complaints. This force main, as it gets biosolids into that tank, and then when the pumps come off, so when the pumping chemicals like the citrus smell, within 24 hours it's gone. So it's a continuous cost. So certain times of the year, it was hot a couple of days ago, it's cold today. This type of it's aerobic to a certain temperature, a certain septic. As the sewer gases start to build, you get this aroma, right? So the longer it's, and also when it's too hot, when it gets cold, everything flips. Not much different than if you go scuba diving and you see the bottom of the lake and stuff, right? So plants do this. You also get the same kind of smell as sewer plants because it changes the weather changes. Hot to cold, cold to hot. It goes through biological changes. Pathogens. So this pathogens and germs. So it can, we'll certainly consider it, but it's one of those things. It's never going to go away, and you're masking it for a short period. You're pumping fluids in that are going to be, when the pumps kick on, and they go to the level that it's supposed to until it stops, and then it starts to build sewer gas.
so whatever we pump in there is just going to be pushed up the hill to the treatment plant.
That is correct. You ever drive down between Temple and Belton on the road on the south end line?
Yeah.
Certain times of the year it's much worse than other times. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the challenge that we have here is those businesses didn't necessarily ask for that lift station to be there. And when you take a look at the center of gravity that is that area,
I get it, and
we need to do right. We need to continue to do right by that.
Yes. And we'll certainly look at it. Look, all of it is cost associated. I'll give you those costs. But you got a system that runs in a deficit.
Okay. Ms. Hill, thank you. We'll look at what our options are on that and costs, whatever costs are associated with that. Yes, ma'am.
You know, people say, oh, forget history, just let it go. Long ago, that lift station was on Stagecoach property. Is there any chance of moving it back there? Again, we never had any sense of a smell, but probably not. I just thought, since they're not opening their restaurant, it was supposed to have been placed there. At some point, it suddenly moved to Royal Street.
No, the Stagecoach is still operational.
Yeah.
So it's
The lift station at Stagecoach?
That is correct.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay. Wasn't planning on saying anything again. Darlene Walsh, 1110 Mill Creek Drive. 1001 Mill Creek Drive, sorry. I was there 22 years. It's hard to forget it. But initially I was on the sewage committee. And it was supposed to, the lift station was supposed to be on the concrete, where the concrete slab still is.
Ms. Walsh, I'm sorry.
Okay. I address you.
Item on the agenda is the amendment to the agreement.
Right.
That's what we're here to talk about. We kind of got off in the weeds.
Okay.
I need to get us back on track here.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to correct what I knew, but that's okay. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Mr. Del Rosa, you have anything else you want to add? Okay. If there are no further questions by the board, I will open it up for a motion.
take a motion that we accept amendment number 4 to the agreement for operations, maintenance, and management services by Operations Management International. Jacob.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to accept this amendment as presented. Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving item 7A as written, say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? Any opposed say no. Any abstentions? Ms. Bean, that passes 4-0. B, discussion and possible action authorizing the applicant Sanctuary Development Company LLC to post a cash performance bond in the amount of $39,124.02 for the Salado Sanctuary North Track project and authorizing the village administrator to execute the performance agreement. Mr. De La Rosa.
You're gonna walk through this?
Mayor and Alderman, I'm going to discuss the Sanctuary North Track project, authorizing, of course, we're asking for authorization for Mr. De La Rosa to execute the performance agreement. The cash performance bond of the amount of $39,124.02, as you'll see, there is a cost assessment breakdown in your packet, and that has been provided by MRV, who is actually here tonight as well. And I do believe that we've got, yes, and Madison is here as well from the Sanctuary North Track. We have done this before for the Sanctuary, and so we're really just kind of repeating that process, making sure that they can get everything done on their punch list as we move forward. All the improvements do need to be complete before February 28th of 2025. And I'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Alderman Graham, you have any questions?
All right, so just real quick, let's kind of break this down. Whose money is this? Is it the village's?
It will be coming from the Sanctuary.
Okay, so this is not money that is...
That we're fronting?
Right.
No, sir.
Make sure we're clear on it. And this is nothing more than Manny executing that function which we talked about in previous bid arrangements. Right?
Yes, so you've already approved one part of performance bond. And this allows, should you approve this, this will allow the next item for the pipe to be filed. It's a guarantee that the public improvements will be completed in a certain time period.
Alderman Hurst? No. Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
So, Danny, this has performance bond. In the past, you've also done escrow agreements. What would be the difference between these two?
It's the same. It's an escrow performance agreement.
Okay.
So whether it's a surety bond from a bonding company or this is cash, but regardless, what I did put was section 6.2 of ordinance number 2019-03. That says if the Board of Aldermen authorizes the applicant to post a bond as security for promises containing the agreement, the performance bond shall comply with the following requirements. So in other words, it's not an automatic. You have to authorize the applicant. So it's right here. So maybe we can one day fix that and expedite as long as it meets it.
And this is non-refundable?
It is refundable upon completion. If they not complete by that time, we start notifying them, says, hey, you're non-compliant with your completion date. You give them notice. If not, then we complete it based on utilizing those funds. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pence. Any public comments on this item? No? Okay. Mr. De La Rosa, have anything else you want to add? All right, I will open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the performance bond in the amount of $39,124.02 for the village, or for the Salado Sanctuary North Track project, and authorize the village administrator to execute.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to approve as presented. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. Alderman McDonald, all in favor of approving item 7B as presented, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? This being that passes 4-0. Item C, discussion of possible action on approving the Salado Sanctuary North final tract, North tract final plat. Mr. De La Rosa or Ms. Pence, who's that? Who's up?
Thank you for having me back.
Welcome back.
So the North Track, I know that we've looked at various phases through the sanctuary, so I just kind of want to remind everybody that the North Track actually has a mixed use. There is some commercial development there. There is nice green space. I know that we viewed this in the past and we've talked about it, but this is the first time that this final plat is being presented to you. So I just kind of wanted to circle back to you regarding that. There was MRB did complete the review of the reference project, and they did find that it met the Village of Salado subdivision requirements, but asked that 2 items be addressed on that final plat in the comments. And the developer has made those updates on the plat, but I just kind of wanted to make sure that I'm highlighting those to you. They were asked to fill in the document number of all the recorded easements, which they completed. And they also were asked to change the name of Main Street to South Main Street for 911 purposes. And if you saw on the final plat that was in your packet, those changes have been made. Those items were addressed. We did present this final plat to P&Z Commission. They recommended approval 5-0 with no public comments for or against. And the only other comment that I had that was addressed in past comments here at the BOA meeting was some concern about the fire trucks having access and being able to do a turn. And those were addressed. Mr. De La Rosa and MRB and multiple people have had discussions regarding that on Nottingham Lane. So the radius will allow. I don't have any other references or comments to make, but we do have somebody here from Madison is here tonight if you would like to hear from him as well.
Alderman Graham?
No question.
Alderman Hurst? Alderman McDonald?
No question.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
Okay. Mayor, if I may?
Sure.
The recommended motion for this item is conditional approval, subject to confirmation of the sanitary sewer easement having been conveyed outside of this plat from the north track along Chet Sutton's old property to Royal Street. Right? So the plat can be conditionally approved if the sewer lines that are within the track have been identified. I do not know if the sewer line outside of the platted track that connects to Royal Street, whether the line or the easement, how that was conveyed, and whether, because it's not going to be recorded on this plat. So I'll need at least a couple of days, man, tomorrow or Monday, to get that confirmation. I'll have that conversation with our city attorney because it's been on the back of my mind exactly. If it wasn't for Mr. Boynton walking me along that easement, I see. Yeah.
That comes through behind Chet Sutton's place.
Through his old place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then as it approaches closer to Royal,
it makes a connection, but that property, is my understanding, still is owned by Mr. Sutton, right?
Owned by who?
Chet Sutton.
No, I believe that's owned by somebody else.
Okay, so sell it or something. Well, here's the thing. I just want to confirm that that sewer line is reported somewhere and it's been conveyed to it, right? Okay. In other words, it's not your own system, but then you don't know the section between the track and Royal Street. I've not seen that instrument. Not been presented to me. I don't know what's that. So it's not part of the plat, but it's only unique to that tract of land. Do we have a conveyance that's been conveyed to us?
Is there anything that is keeping us from tabling approval of this plat pending that conveyance?
That's up to you, but if there's something that can be presented there, so I don't mind moving forward. If you want to table it, be tabled January 2nd. It is certainly within your discretion.
What's the administration want to do right now, Mr. Della Rosa?
What
do you recommend?
I believe that it's probably there. That it's probably, I would like to believe that consulting for the developer got that the meets and bounds and conveyed it. But if not, then that's the whole conditionally approved, but I won't file it until we get that conveyance. I see it, and then we see it on our property, right? So I don't want to necessarily wait maybe January 2nd, maybe January 4th. So, but conditionally approved just means that, yeah, we'll tap that lease in for that sewer outside of this plat.
Thank you for answering my question, Mr. Della Rosa.
George, you want to add something to this? You weren't aware of what?
That the unknown wastewater easement was subject to approval of plat.
Okay.
And so, from my phone right now, I don't know that I can pull it up for you here, but I've heard about this and I looked it up, and so I've got Bell County recorded document 2023-002-113 as a permanent wastewater easement from Mr. Sutton to sanctuary that's been conveyed on, and then I've got 2023-00-2112 as a temporary construction easement that allows work to be done. And then so from my phone I can forward.
Yeah, so you're showing that it was conveyed from sanctuary to the village?
No, from Mr. Sutton to the ownership interest associated with.
Okay, well that's going to delay it. Yeah. Can't accept the plat if you don't have sewer, right? So
It's not conveyed by plat.
it's outside of the plat. You can amend the plat, include it.
Well, I would like to ask them for a second to pull up that document before we put a 3-week delay on the status.
Yeah, well, that's why I said conditional approval based on that getting corrected or at least addressed satisfactorily in the next couple of days.
I'm going to open this up to public comments real quick, and then we'll. All right, anybody want to make any public comments on this? No. Okay. Yeah, I'll open it up for a motion.
All right, so I'm gonna have a motion that is going to be for conditional approval of this plat contingent upon proof of the sewage items discussed. So basically, once all of those conditions have been met, then the plat can be approved. But until that time, it'll be conditional. Is that clear enough?
Yes, you can't follow a plat that doesn't have utilities.
Yeah.
Form people.
But in the interest of the 3-week delay and all that kind of thing, I get it. And I trust your discretion with once that's received, and that's why I'm making that motion.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Graham to approve under the condition that you said for the conveyance of the wastewater.
Yeah, you have to accept either the easement or the line.
Yeah.
Right? I prefer the line because I don't want to move an easement.
Sure.
But we'll have that discussion.
Okay. All right, motion made by Alderman Graham. Do I have a second? Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Maybe it's quite possible it could take longer.
It could be. Look, and quite honestly, if they convey it in, we have to draft or wordsmith the conveyance instrument to you. Once it satisfies us and it's executed, I'll send it to you with the recommendation that we'll ratify at the next meeting, right? I can move these things along as long as it's satisfying not only myself but the city attorney and before the mayor signs that flat, right? So there's three sets of eyes looking at this. You know, 3 weeks is a long time. Yeah, but people tend to move faster when it's important.
All right, thank you. Question called by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. All in favor of approving the Salado Sanctuary North Tract final plat with the presented conditions, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Ms. Bean, that's approved 4-0 with conditions. D, discussion and possible action on authorizing staff to take minutes of what is done and to record key information about the meeting and describe any action that was taken. This is about meeting minutes, Mr. De La Rosa.
That is correct.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, all we're asking is that we be able to take action minutes, not verbatim. Verbatim doesn't capture the essence of the conversation or frowns or body language. This is not a legal proceeding in court where we follow every word. So what I did is I did provide you a copy of the state statute in here, which is under the Government Code, Title 5, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Section 551.021. Basically, they're just action minutes and what's done. Right? Even Robert's Rules of Order follows that. So I know that many city councils or some city councils might think that we'll do it verbatim, that way we can capture a lot. That's not the essence of government meeting. Yeah, and CDC takes a long time, it takes staff. Now we discuss the administrative stuff that got to deal with it. But long minute meetings doesn't really, it's not to be utilized as a weapon. What was said or not said. You might have missed a word, we might have missed exactly how it was phrased, and that is not really for anybody. We would just like to follow what the statute has. Action minutes or anything other than any other instructions given as part of that previous stuff. So I'm just asking that you follow the statute and not me.
Alderman Graham?
No question.
Alderman Hurst?
Okay.
Alderman McDonald?
I do. Mr. De La Rosa, does this preclude the videos that we do from this point on, or does that allow us, if budgets become tight, that we do have the ability based on this conversation to remove that expenditure from the budget?
You can still remove it, and that's not a requirement. If you have it, it's made to the public. If you do not have it, it's not available.
Understood, sir.
You're not part of that.
Thank you. No further questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I'll open this up to public comments. None? Okay. All right, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Make a motion that we authorize the staff to take minutes in accordance with the statutes described.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to authorize staff to take minutes as outlined statutorily. Second. Seconded by Alderman Hurst.
Question?
You jumped the gun there a little bit.
Yeah, no.
Any further discussion?
Question, Mayor.
Question been called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of authorizing staff to take minutes of what is done and to record key information about the meeting and describe any action that was taken, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Ms. Bean, that passes 4-0. D, discussion of possible action on approving resolution number R2024-09, a resolution amending the employee handbook to adopt social media policy and to amend the holiday schedules. Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay, I sent out the information. I made the comparison of what was in the personnel policy against what we were utilizing. My understanding is that this thing has gone on for a few years. So again, so let me stress, I am not trying to add more days. I'm just trying to update the personnel policy to be reflective of your will. So this is already in effect. Last year, we've had other employees that have been here longer, and this is what they were accustomed to seeing, and not what was in the personnel. So it appears that the 14 days, what we proposed, what's been utilized, is the direction that we were going in. So I had a resolution prepared to amend the personnel policy, which is resolution number R2024-09, that has the 14 days as listed. And while we were addressing some of the TikTok and social media issues, I had that added into this. It's the last page, page number 7. Employees must comply with the village's covered applications and prohibited technology policy, which is, also known as the TikTok requirement. So, if we're in agreement, then staff is recommending approval. Or tell me which calendar you want, and we'll adopt it with that change.
All right. Questions, Mr. Graham?
No questions.
Vote.
No question, just want to clarify, this is the same schedule they've been using for years, just we're putting it in black and white.
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Hall?
No questions, Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. I'll add to Alderman Hurst's point. This is not anything different than we've been doing in the past. Again, social media, it's out there that we're giving 2 more paid days off to employees, and we're spending more money, and that is just not the case. So I'll open this up for public comment, please. None? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion to approve resolution number R2024-09.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to approve as presented.
Can I clarify, does this require a roll call vote for a resolution? Or is it
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving resolution number R2024-09 as presented, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Ms. Bean, that passes 4-0. Item F, discussion and possible approval of financial reports ending November 30th, 2024. Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay. You are in your second full month of the new fiscal year, so going to do the balance sheet. But I do want to notice on the third sheet, you'll see financial statement. At the very top, you'll see the sanctuary performance agreement. There's that part escrow performance line we've taken in. You'll see one for Johnny and Thomas on the road. Then Hay Meadow Pickleball, you'll see that we're running some deficits there. Obviously, you can tell that, for example, down at Johnny's, they are proposing some improvements. We've been looking at the extension sewer lines. They paid what they thought was going to be all they needed for engineering. It's going to be much more complicated, so they're going to need escrows. They're going to have to go through a platting process. They're going to have to go through calculations of ODEs for the new kitchen based on that ordinance that we've gotten very good at deciphering. So we will collect these. And the one that you see, Hay Meadow with the pickleball court, they want to build it in the floodplain. So it'll require review by our city engineers, so it's going to be, more costly. So we'll get these funds before we continue moving forward on these projects. This is only just, we are getting much better at collections of water and sewer, at collections of development plats, not the base fee, but fee plus number of lots plus whatever else is owed, right? And not we sit on those plats. And so it's just teaching staff to be much more attentive to all of our fee structures in that collection process in accordance to those ordinances. I sent you this a couple of days ago. Do you have any specific questions you want me to try to address?
Alderman Graham.
No question.
Alderman Hurst.
No question.
Alderman McDonald.
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? I'll just add that going through these, Mr. Del Rosa, when you and I sit down and, these checks are presented for signatures, and we do go through them. We go through the invoices and see if there's something from MRB. I'm excusing you, Solomon, because you happen to be sitting here, but also through Bureau Veritas or whatever questions are being, I do ask those questions. Is this something that is billable back to so-and-so? And if that's the case, and if it's for somebody else, we're not putting the bill for it. We're writing the check, but we're getting money back we're charging them. We're invoicing the developer or whoever for MRB services if it pertains to that development or Bureau Veritas, et cetera.
And we do, and that is not being handled by our account. That's actually being in-house and makes sense. Reconcile the legal that then runs against development where we're at. So, and she's very good about not letting the mayor sign a flat until we collect the check from him.
Yeah, I can attest to that. She's a kind of a pit bull. I appreciate it. All right. Any public comments on this? Nope. All right. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the financial report ending November 30th as presented.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to approve the financial reports as presented. Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called to Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approval of the financial reports ending November 30, 2024, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? This being that passes 4-0. G, discussion and possible action on imposing an employee wage freeze for fiscal year 2025. Mr. Del Rosa.
We were proposing a 2% pay increase for all employees that were here after April 1 of 2024. Yes, they've been here at least 6 months prior to qualify. So the recommendation that I'm making is that you impose a wage freeze. Here's the tax reduction, basically the taxes to get reduced. Here's what it is. If it does not pass, then you can always reconsider this at a later date. But we were not proposing a fiscal year 2025 increase until the start of the pay period in January. The earliest would have been December 29th, but now it would have been 2 weeks later from that date in January. And I think I sent you dates when I was first looking at this. So that based on the petition that was received, it is my opinion that you should freeze all salaries.
Okay. And if this petition to roll back to the voter approved tax rate, if it is unsuccessful, is it something that we would do? And I hate that our employees are getting caught up in this. Is this something? If it doesn't pass, and we've already got it budgeted to give them their pay increases, is this something that we can back pay them on? So kind of retroactively?
You could, because you appropriated in your budget when you adopted it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Alderman Hurst.
Okay.
Alderman McDonald.
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
No.
Wait for Alderman Graham to get up here.
I don't have
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any public comments on this? None? All right. I'll open the floor for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve as discussed item H for imposing I'm sorry.
We're on item G.
Sorry, item G, possible action for wage freeze for fiscal year 25. Item G, discussing possible action imposing an employee wage freeze for fiscal year 25. Yeah, they're together, two almost together.
Motion made by Alderman McDonald to approve imposing employee wage freeze for fiscal year 2025. Second. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of Imposing an employee wage freeze for fiscal year 2025, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Say no.
No.
Any abstentions? This being that passes 3-1. Discussion and possible action on imposing a hiring freeze on full-time personnel. Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay, again, recommending that we not hire any full-time personnel. For example, we are down one police officer that left about a month ago. So that takes us down from 9 officers, including the chief, down to 8. So, should we lose another officer? It doesn't stay the same. Okay. I did have a conversation with the chief, the number of officers that we needed to continue to maintain a 24-hour coverage. So I've got a good idea. I am not recommending that we get to that level today or now. What I am recommending is that we not fill that one full-time position. So if anybody else leaves or we do anything else, it'll be less than, but it will not be another full-time person placement anywhere in the organization. If that body that leaves and is critical to the organization, then that discussion would have to be held in an open meeting for you to allow. But we have certain seasonals that we use. We have employees that go on vacations or out, and we use seasonals to maintain currently the part-time that we're authorized to the budget. And you can tell those part-time. We have Patricia, Gina, Deborah, myself, 4 full-time employees and 2 part-time. So each one, we all do share responsibilities. So all those kind of things. So the part-timers are not critical, but they certainly are the ones, as Jennifer Phelps, I mentioned earlier, she does the billing for us every month. She handles a lot of the costs. Patricia also handles the permits and the municipal court, right? Everybody has a function, and then when somebody's out ill or on vacation or somewhere else, we utilize those people in other areas. We are cross-trained.
And those employees that you mentioned, those are not just line items on a budget. They're actually bringing in revenue.
Every one of them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Chief Fields, if I know at your current level you're good. If something were to happen that we lose a police officer, we don't fill that position, how is that going to affect, as you and I have discussed, we've discussed it with Mr. De La Rosa, we don't want to go back to not having 24-hour coverage. How is that going to affect your staff?
It would make it challenging. And when I say challenging, can it be done? Yes, it can. By not filling that position, it will take a toll on our overtime to maintain things like that.
Yeah. But currently, as we sit
right now,
you're good. Okay. All right. Thank you. Alderman Graham, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst.
No question.
Alderman McDonald.
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
No.
All right. Any public comments on this? Come on up, Mr. Street.
Gerald Street, 859 Northwood Road, Melissa. I don't have a hard of hearing and all conversation is corrected this way. Did I understand correctly that if one position not being filled, you go down to 8, that it would say several officers get stumbled because they're not going to get a raise, and maybe 2 or 3 leave at a time? Do we still have a moratorium on filling those positions? I know we addressed that, but I'm not quite sure.
I don't foresee a scenario in which that's ever going to happen. We have great leadership at the police department. The culture that he's built over there, I'm very pleased with it. I believe the board is pleased with it. I know that the community is pleased with it. If that were to come down to that, then we would have that discussion again. That's one of those kind of key personnel that we would have those discussions to get that back up.
There may have to be some revisiting on that depending on the situation.
Yes, sir, for sure. Any more public comments? Okay, then I will open the floor for a motion.
Make a motion to approve imposing a hiring freeze on full-time personnel.
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve the hiring freeze on full-time personnel.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of imposing a hiring freeze on full-time personnel, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no.
No.
Any abstentions? This being, that passes 3-1. Item I, discussion and possible action on terminating property insurance coverage of the Salado Historical Society cabins located at 601 North Main Street. This is something that we've discussed before, Mr. Del Rosa. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. We discussed this several months ago. It is my recommendation, since we have no agreement with the Salado Historical Society about the cabins, should there be a claim, the claims would come to us, not them. And in all likelihood, I don't think that was intended, and we have no agreement, or we could be challenged on the claim since we have no ownership or agreement. So, saying that since we don't have any stake in it, and we could be spending money that we may not ever get back, my recommendation, do not continue to carry the property on the building.
But with this discussion that was held several months back, they've had that much time to enter into some sort of agreement with the village, and there's not been any steps taken towards that.
That's correct.
Okay. Alderman Graham, you have a question?
No question.
Alderman Hurst?
No question.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Any public comments on this? Nope. Okay, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Make a motion we terminate property insurance coverage on the Salado Historical Society cabins located at 601 North Main.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to terminate the property insurance coverage as written.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of terminating property insurance coverage on the Salado Historical Society cabins located at 601 North Main Street, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? This being, that passes 4-0. Discussion and possible action on the lease agreement for the sculpture garden located at 113 Salado Plaza Drive. Mr. De La Rosa.
Yes, I've reached out to the pastor for the Presbyterian Church. So if there's a relative me there, he was going to speak with the session. Mr. Pinkston contacted me as a member of the Presbyterian Church. Used to be a former member of the session. So the message was relayed. They weren't interested in donating, but they were certainly interested in selling. So I've inquired, what are you going to sell it for, and not for back. So that's only them. I don't know if the Salado Stores LLC is still in business, or I understand that it's been sold. It's going to be like Transit Live.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that relationship is going to be, but so quite honestly, we're doing the two parties. Up until 2 weeks ago, I didn't even realize there were lights there. The same person that installed lights on the Main Street bridge over the creek installed lights over there. Apparently there's a meter, there's lights. He hasn't been asked to look at it in over 3 years. Makes sense that he's lived in that area for 3 years and has never seen lights. So, these things become a maintenance issue. The trees that are down, it doesn't address it. They can't build on it because it's in a floodplain. They know that. So, my recommendation is that you insert sculptures there that are not yours and you don't have a loan agreement. And they can sell them so they exchange hands. At the minimum, you should cancel the insurance and sculptures, because that was in the email from the insurance company that they suspected you had a loan agreement. You do not. If you want to try to acquire the property for maybe a nominal amount, I can continue down that pathway. But at least the sculptures should not be insured by us if you have no zoning units. And I know that because I spoke with Mr. Floyd Kelly, that does have culture there, who owns them, and I am interested in entering into a loan agreement and so is he for the Serena Mermaid at Serena Park. Okay? So, I mean, that's on city-owned property, and I think that would be a worthwhile thing. But for this, I need direction. Do you want to continue trying to acquire the property, either at a nominal cost or donation? I'll reach out to the new owners of the Salado storage, but I certainly recommend that you allow me to terminate the public of the property.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Graham?
All right. So my position on it is this. Get rid of any financial obligation we have to the sculpture garden effective immediately. Do seek out to see if they can still, if they may change their mind and be open to conveyance to that property for a nominal fee. And by nominal fee, I'm talking the ceremonial $1 kind of thing. All right. But if we're gonna do some of these other things, the idea of buying this property or putting any more money into it, given that we are not going to do some of these other things, is not something I can stomach. That's all I have.
There is a 90-day commitment period in the agreement. So we would need to give notice and start that. And it can only be it could only be rescinded should they want to donate it.
Yeah, you want to donate it, we'll take it into Parks and Rec and go with it. But I'm not paying for somebody else's stuff.
Thank you. Alderman Hurst?
Mm-hmm.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions. Thank you, Alderman Gray.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
No, thank you.
All right. Any public comments on this agenda item? No? Okay. I'll open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we terminate the lease agreement for the sculpture garden located at 113 Salado Plaza Drive, along with any remaining financial obligations associated to the sculpture garden.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to terminate the lease agreement as presented, in addition to any other financial obligations.
With the caveat of being open to nominal or conveyance.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion?
Is that going to allow Manny to, I know we're talking about nominal conveyance. We've got to get Manny the latitude to continue the resolution with any other options.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting that as you're in those negotiations, that you would get back to us on an email and say, hey, they want to do it for $1, but we'll do it for $50. What do you think? And then we get back to you and then move forward accordingly.
That's how I understood nominal. I mean, something else, more than $1, but yes. Okay. Look, if it benefits the community in long term, this petition is horrible. It is. But we will get to this. And we still want to provide amenities to our community, but amenities that the city owns.
Question called by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. All in favor of terminating the lease agreement for the sculpture garden located at 113 Salado Plaza Drive and any other financial ties to that property, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? As being that passes 4-0. Item K, discussion and possible action on suspending general road maintenance repairs. Manny, can I take this real quick? So Mr. Del Rosa and I have been in conversation for a couple of months now, and we actually had June, July time frame, we had somebody going through and cleaning up some of these potholes, and they were headed in the right direction. We had another company come in and speak with us, gave us some good pricing on this. Again, it's something that's been discussed for years and said that it was going to get done, and it never did get done. I said we were going to get it done. We were getting it done, and now this petition is here before us, and because of this, we're going to pump on the brakes. And for that reason, I was asked about that today. Hey, what are we going to do with Smith Branch Road? I said, well, we had plans to do it, but now we have this thing kind of hanging over our head. So for that reason, that's why this is on here. So, Mr. Del Rosa, if you want to add to that.
Yes, so, we did, and the company that we were talking to was part of, one of the purchasing co-ops, so it was already competitive, and I wouldn't have had to go on to a lot of different folks, make it local. So, it is my recommendation that we cease any and all pothole repairs unless it's determined to be such a road hazard that it needs to be addressed. And it'll probably be more of a Band-Aid. But if not, we not do. So I think, what was it, $100,000 that we had in there for a lot of public works maintenance stuff. We are not buying anything that we don't need. There is a freeze on everything already at a staff level. But we do have some street potholes. There's some of them. There's potholes all over town. We made pretty good headway in the prior fiscal year. We discussed it early. If you come on board, we adopted the budget in October. But then, since people started paying taxes, the revenue stream wasn't there. We didn't move forward because we still didn't have a lot of money coming in. And then we received the petition. So everything halted. I gave you the rundown of how money was trickling in, which is why we put off pay raises and everything until the first of the year. And I even recommend that sometimes we wait 6 months before we make a lot of these capital improvements or increases. So, and I use the word general road maintenance to address potholes, unless it is determined basically by me, or you send me a message for me to look into it. And if it's determined to be a hazard, then we'll address it. But if not, we're not going to do it.
And with that said, Smith Branch is one of those. I feel like I've looked at a few of these. Blaylock Drive is one of those where if the one lane bridge going right there in front of the view, if that happens we have to close that down for whatever reason because of flooding or whatever the case may be. We know that Park Drive to Blaylock, the Indian Trail is kind of a way around to get to that. That Blaylock looks like it's been hit by mortar rounds, and we were in discussion about getting that taken care of. So I guess we'll ride that out for as long as we can until it becomes such a hazard that we have to do something about it. But it's just one of those that we're moving in that direction, and now we're not. Alderman Graham.
No questions.
Alderman Hurst.
No questions.
Alderman McDonald.
I have a question for Mr. De La Rosa, maybe more than one. I've been approached by members of the community at talking about the potholes and in general realizing that we don't have any money for this at this point. Is there a mechanism in place under supervision of the village where, say, somebody wants to donate the funds to fix the potholes on their spot in front of their driveway or on their road or a place they feel is necessary? Is there a mechanism in place that would be acceptable to the administration to make that happen?
Yeah. We'll consider any request that we receive.
Yes, sir.
And as long as it follows typical road repair standards and not the cold patch,
right,
then I'm sure that we'll allow that and we'll go through some type of waiver of who's going to do it. Are they're paying for it, or they hiring a company, or is it coming to the
both conversations occurred.
We will certainly entertain any proposal that somebody's going to maybe undertake within the street or block or cold patch.
Understood. Thank you for answering my questions, sir. No further questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell. All right. Any public comments? No. We'll open the floor for a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve item K as discussed for suspending general road maintenance repairs.
Motion made by Alderman McDonald to approve the suspending of general road maintenance repairs. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of suspending general road maintenance repairs, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? Being that passes 3-1. Item M. No, where we at? No, I'm sorry. Item L. Let's go along agenda. Discussion and possible action on pausing or suspending grass mowing with exception. I'll kick this one off. Mr. Del Rosa and I sat down and looked at it, and we looked at what we're paying for contract services to get grass cut along Main Street, Pace Park, to include down by the creek, and also Serena Park, and it came out to around $31,000 a year.
$2,600 a month.
Yeah. So that's, I think we've determined $38,000 around that number. I said 31, but $38,000 is the equivalent of 1 cent in tax revenue. So for that reason, that's what this is on the agenda. So, Mr. Lewis, you want to add to that?
So, the reason I said with exception, it is my intention to try to maintain the gateway signs. It's not really nice, leaving up there on the top and then a little bit around. So anything that our public maintenance workers can kind of maintain, the two gateway signs, in the park, Pace Park up in the hill, those kind of things. A lot of the tech dot areas, not, I mean, it's out of the function, but whatever only are, so there, we have 3 different contractors, we priced them out, we gave them a little bit, they're all local, homegrown. So when our volunteers stop mowing the public right of way, we put this on, so that this happened in about March of this year. So, but even during this time of the year, they weed eat, they get a little bit of growth, they pick up trash while they're out there. A lot of that will just be handled in my citizenship. We have 1 full-time employee and we budgeted 1 part-time. We are not filling the part-time public works employees. When Lance is not around, we use the seasonal and just for the hours that we need. So therefore, it is my position that we just, whatever Lance can keep up with, or whoever that full-time public works employee is, only one is what we can keep up with more. When we see we terminate, they're not contracts, but we stop using the 3 different mowing companies that we utilize.
Okay, Alderman Graham.
What's Slater volunteers doing for you? They're saving you $31,000 a year. And as one generation ages out and is unable to do it anymore, the next one's not stepping up. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Alderman Hurst. Alderman McDonald.
No questions at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
So, Manny, you're gonna manage this. Why do we need to vote on this? I mean, would you manage this anyhow?
This is your authorization for me to cease operations rather than me arbitrarily decide that. This is your input, your buy-in into how serious this matter is and what we need to do.
So there's a lot of stuff that's not going to be able to get done when you cancel those lawn contracts. You got to do it.
And I prefer that this come to us for approval anyway, because Manny's not going to be the one that's going to get phone calls and text messages and Facebook messages at 11:30 at night. It's going to be us, and I think that needs to fall on our lap to either approve or disapprove that. One thing I can say to that is that you hear again chatter about the village doesn't provide services to the residents. Well, they're fixing to see.
Find out.
And Manny provides a service. Ms. Bean provides a service. Gina Pence provides a service. Letitia provides a service. Our police department provides a service. Just because they're not in these 4 walls to see what's happening here every day. We have revenue streams coming in now that we didn't have a year ago. And it's because of the people that are in this building. And it's because of the services that they provide. So, again, this is just beyond irritating. If they would just come in and take some time and see what happens in here day to day and see the things that are happening and the money that's coming in and the revenue streams and the effort that goes into getting us back on track. I really wish people would reach out and have those conversations. And again, I urge them, second Thursday for the month, January, February, March, and April, come in here and let's have a discussion, and I'm happy to talk about what services that we do provide that we may have to not provide now. Did I go down the line? Yeah. Any public comments on this?
Mayor, Alderman, it's a tough place to be, a tough place to be. With all the people that are doing the sniping, you don't see them here. You don't see them here getting informed about what's going on. It's pitiful, absolutely pitiful. And incumbent, I think, on the people that do show up, is reach out and grab a hold of them and say, get involved, become part of your community. Quit being backseat, backdoor politicians and just nipping at everybody all the time. It's absolutely true.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Okay, I'll open it up to a motion.
I'll make a motion that we authorize city administrators to cease mowing activities and to perform those actions on the DD.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to authorize Mr. Del Rosa to cease those operations with the exceptions as he outlined at his discretion.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of pausing or suspending grass mowing with the exceptions at the village administrator's discretion, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Any abstentions? Passes 3-1, Ms. Bean. Discussion and possible action on pausing the following capital improvement projects. Mill Creek Road, TxDOT project name Village of Salado, Mill Creek Drive. Number 2, Royal Street, TxDOT project name OV, Royal Street, Smith Branch Road, FM 2268. And number 3, Williams Road, TxDOT project name PED, CS Williams Road, sidewalks. Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay, let's take Mill Creek. Mill Creek was let out by this coming early 2025. It's a 100% reimbursement, but you have to front the construction, even go through the reimbursement process. You don't have the funds to get reimbursed. I'm not saying we're going to cancel them. TxDOT's been made aware of it. They're going to try to delay this project into after May, and maybe I just work on the procurement process, the procedure, the documentation. I would do that, submit it to them just so that we're that far ahead till we get the funding. So if the funding becomes available after May, we probably can still regulate this Mill Creek. The other two, Royal Street and Williams Road, they are pay tempo projects. Federal funds that come through TxDOT to the pay tempo. If we've already delayed this, I mentioned this once before, you've already gone through a delay, so if we delay it again, it may get kicked out of the queue, or you may have to reapply, or at least it may get kicked further back in the queue, or potentially get kicked out completely, requiring you to reapply. So the funds that you've already spent are gone. And at this time, there's no way to recover. This is what we were trying to do with the increase at $70,000 that's part of that line item in the current budget, so that we could at least issue some debt to keep these projects alive and moving forward. So based on that, I'm saying that we pause them. If you approve the pause, then I'll notify Pay Tempo. I didn't call TxDOT, they called the employer because they would like to see these projects continue to move forward. So I was asking them on the agenda, notify them of the decision after this. So, and then they reminded me to notify Pay Tempo, and then we'll see what you thought.
And K-Tempo is aware of it.
They are, in this sense, and I met with some of the leaders that are Ryan Nelson and some of the planning staff up there that manage these operations, these programs through their office.
So I guess we'll have more discussions about that. All right. How much, let's just say, I know Royal Street, we've spent some money on the design, just maybe
You're only, you're at 30% design, you were completing some of the environmental, and it was coming along, so a lot of it is your match would have been, the biggest match would have been 80% federal funds, 20% yours, because you're responsible for all design and environmental.
Mm-hmm.
You're much further ahead on the Williams roadway and also on the Milk Creek. So, and I guess the biggest criticism is, the projects, the capital improvement projects were not part of the budgeted items identified as capital improvements, and you did not take out debt. And when I say you, I mean just in general leadership. So there are no debt taken out to cover those design or environmental.
I mean, is it fair to say, I'm sorry, it's fair to say we are, in terms of sunk costs, collectively across these three projects, well in advance of $100,000.
You're closer to 100,000, more like 300,000.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that is part of the deficit you were running. You were utilizing your reserves and not amending your budget to identify. Look, these are worthwhile quality of life projects for the community. This is not typical not to put them into a capital improvement project and have the funding design that whole process in place for how you're going to carry those long term, whether it's a bank loan, private place, or issued bonds, municipal bonds, or those kind of things.
Well, listen, I want to applaud you and Gina for moving forward in that direction. Should we move on these three or any others going forward? Just the right thing.
Alderman Hurst. Okay. Alderman McDonald.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. De La Rosa, based on the 300,000, based on when these projects were put into place and how long we've been working on them, is there anything legally, professionally keeping us from issuing debt currently based on these projects now? Because I know you mentioned debt earlier a moment ago. Is there anything keeping us from moving forward with that now? Any stumbling blocks?
Yes, sir.
Can you please explain that to myself?
The moment you received the petition,
Yes, sir.
you will not be able to get funded on projects with that instrument in place. No creditor will want to look at you. So now we talked about these three. We also were moving forward on a city hall building or police municipal building. Had a lot of that up front to the architectural firm, right? So you also have $1.5 million federal EPA grant for wastewater plant. We're about to annex Holiday Inn, right? You saw the petition. You know that we're calling for meeting December 30th to annex the Holiday Inn. The only thing we're getting is if they can maintain the same signs, no other incentives are being negotiated or being discussed.
Yeah.
Part of that annexation. Okay? So we have other developments underway. My concern is, and I didn't list the federal EPA grant award because I'm trying to figure out how to do a private bank placement, issue it either through that or through a revenue bond, because you need to continue to expand your wastewater plant for the development that is coming. And we're in conversations for development along FM 2268, not 10 acres, not 50, but a 185-acre site and another 400-acre site. It's proximity to the sewer plant. So now I'm having to think of different funding mechanisms with the developer for them to fund the funds, just like we're having with the Holiday Inn Express. Private funds, so development is coming. It's just we're going to have different development agreements, and the developers that are coming will pay their way to people.
Second question on this conversation. I'm sorry to take the time for the board and mayor. In your professional opinion, is there a way forward for us to not pause these three projects or any of these projects? In other words, would one take a precedent over the other? And two, is there a way forward for us to somehow limp these along based on the current financial standings and the petition?
No, not until you can resolve how you're gonna pay back the $430,300 should the voters decide to have a tax rate reduction. So think of it this way, the 48.6 cents times 38,000 brings in roughly a little over 1.8 million. Okay? The 36.12 times 38,000, 1.3. That's 470,000. You're roughly 500,000 in deficit if you get to you. Your budget was about 2.4. That means you were bringing in somewhere roughly with franchise fees, billing fees, all those things at about 600,000, and that is the very thing you need to stay and will improve upon that. So, quite honestly, the 500,000 based on how it's spread out, even though it looks like it's nonsense, it's not a lot of money. No, it's not a lot of money.
No.
And to that point, Mr. Del Rosa, we talk about these developers that want to come in and they want to build here, and we've made that clear in these meetings with them, is that we're not waiving anything. We're not waiving impact fees. We're not waiving any of those things. If you want to pay, you want to come here, you're going to pay to come here. Alternatively, we look at what happened in the past, and we've just come across some information about, I'm not going to name the development, but where there were little over $1 million in fees that were waived. And then we find out just a couple of days ago that agreement sticks with the land for 5 years, and there's also a possibility in there to extend it to a 6th year if they request it within 180 days. So it wasn't just to this developer. They wrote this agreement, doesn't benefit us at all, wrote this agreement so that it benefited the property. And now if they sell that, it sticks with that property. And then whoever the new owner is, can if they have within that 6-month window, requested it, and we have to waive their fees also. So it's just bad management all the way around. All right, Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything?
So what if we didn't pause these today? Or we paused them on the 2nd? Why today and not in January or February? I mean, I understand the vote's not till May, so why wouldn't we pause when we find out what the actual vote is?
Between October, when the budget got adopted, to now, I was actually having conversations with bond counsel, which is why we selected Gregory Miller with Bickerstaff to be the city bond counsel. I was having conversations with Christine Lane with Central Capital Group, looking for funding mechanisms to finish not only these 3 tech jobs, the EPA, but how to plan for the future West Village Road. So they weren't paused. I was working through the financing mechanism. So the reason they're here today is because since we received the petition recently, we adopted resolution that we're going to be calling an election. And so, well, and TechStock keeps calling me every couple of weeks. What's the status? As a matter of fact, Solomon Thomas keeps asking me, what's the status, right? He's ready to do the environmental for some of these projects. They're costly. So they were not small. They were me working to that funding mechanism, that financing. Now, I know that and the moment I told Christine Lane, I said, Chris, I got a petition to reduce the tax rate. She goes, what? I said, what's the chances of me being able to issue an obligation? She goes, yeah, you're not going to get it.
Let's say they just, because the ones that we have previously that we've passed, we have ability to course correct unilaterally on that. This has a lot of interdependencies outside of this building. That being said, let's say, just devil's advocate. The citizens vote against the petition. We have that money. Can we, at that point, receive financing for these, or are these three projects just straight up sunk as a result of that petition?
You may, after the mayor election in we can save it at $48.6 per $100.
Yeah.
We may be able to start at the Mill Creek fairly quickly because we'll have the funds now to be able to pay and get reimbursed. Right? We front the money to get reimbursed. The others will just have to see where we are in the queue. I think Kate Temple and certainly the mayors of representatives on the committees now representing small cities, we have a much better chance that we just get pushed back in the queue, come up with our funds, finish at least our design, our environmental, and get into, and then be able to come up with our 20% or issue debt for that. So yeah, so the answer is yes. That's why I'm saying that we should just pause them, see where we're at. We develop good friendships with other groups because we're playing well with other organizations that we need with a funding mechanism. It's all about communication. Some of it is in which fiscal year it gets allocated to. Same thing, your congressman contacted Congressman Carter's office, Deputy District Director, August Alvarado. He said, hey, can I get you some funds? What project is it? Alvarado? And to be honest with you, I can't issue debt. I said, the West Village Road to 5.5, the price tag is now almost $10 million, and that doesn't even include my design and environmental. Remember, I shared the numbers that Mr. Thomas provided, right? $5.5 million award, and we're nowhere near it. Construction costs have skyrocketed. The longer we delay, so it may be that if you want to move this, you may have to move it on your own if you want to maintain the timeline. Some of these are important. Royal Street is a main thoroughfare as you go further east outside of the city limits.
Yeah, you take that thing all the way up Armstrong Road down to Main Street.
So
that's going to get a lot
traffic.
busier real quick. You're putting this thing off a year or two or three or four.
The timing called
no.
And I believe it's in the queue for Bell County to do something out
Royal.
There. Yeah. So as it comes in, it's going to look great. And then it comes into us.
Bottlenecks. Big choke point right at that curve.
Okay. Where are we at?
I'm done. More than one.
Okay. Any public comments on this?
I just need a quick clarification. 3/5 of this board voted for the new village office being built on land we don't own, when apparently we didn't have money. So how much exactly have we already spent on the whole village office, which is no longer going forward?
Hold on 1 second. This doesn't have anything to do with the agenda item, but I want to clarify something. That was nobody voted to approve building the new city hall, and 3/5 of this board certainly did not do that. What we allowed was the design phase of it and to have those conversations.
That's the beginning of building. So how much has been spent already? Just for my record.
I don't have that, but that's also not the agenda item.
Is it a half of it, 50,000 or more than that? 100,000?
I don't know, Mayor. It's probably the where you're putting a PowerPoint presentation to kind of give a timeline and expenses that we've gone through. Yeah. Why we have these deficits, right?
That's something I will address in those town hall meetings.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have it.
I would like at the first town hall to know how much.
I'll do them at all 4 of them.
We had already spent, and that's down the drain.
Yeah.
Those are still designs that we can use at another location at another time in the future should we see fit, right?
Yeah, there's some.
I mean, we withhold the intellectual property and the drawings and all that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when we were discussing about the another pit that was going to be created, we use some of that design at that other location, so it doesn't. It is not a total waste. It's a footprint that can be used on any land. Correct.
Okay. There are no more questions. Any more public comments? Nope. All right. I'll open it up for a motion.
I'll make a motion to pause the capital improvement project has been listed in this video.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to pause the capital improvement projects as presented.
Can I add to that, though? I do want monthly updates on where we are on each of these. I want updates monthly as to where we are, because we're going to continue conversations, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think on a monthly basis, we need to kind of know if something changes or something with any one of these projects.
Well, yeah, all five. I'm trying to keep 5 capital improvement projects listed until you tell me to come off the project.
So if we say yes to this motion, that doesn't take these off of life.
No. For example, Mill Creek, I'm surprised, Daniel Davila with the Waco office, he asked if I would continue what to do with procurement. It may result that we have funding, then I'm that far ahead.
Then you're ready to pull.
Yeah, so it's not me, it's not that I'm not working on them. It's just that I won't actively be pursuing funding mechanisms for that. There's nothing for me to gain.
Yep.
Okay, motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to pause the CIPs as presented, seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of pausing the capital improvement projects as listed, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? This means that passes 4-0.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Item 8. Ms. Bean, please just make a record 904, Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Item 8, Executive Session A, convene into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 and 551.072 on proposal from Legacy CTX Incorporated regarding Pace Park facilities. It is 9:05, and we are now entering into executive session. The time is 9:59, and we are leaving executive session and reconvening the regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Next item on the agenda, 9, discussion and possible action on the items from executive session. 9A, discussion and possible action regarding agenda item 8A. Anybody have any questions? Graham, Alderman Hurst, Alderman McDonald?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to the,
No, I said, does anybody have any questions?
oh, no questions, I'm sorry. No.
There's no members of the public, so no public comments. All right, I will open it up for a motion.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to this motion. I'd like to change it to the following. I'd like to make a motion to defer this action to an open public bid and direct Mr. De La Rosa to open it up to that process for Pace Park as we discussed under executive session.
Motion was made by Alderman McDonald to open this up for public bids for the Pace Park. We're talking about just the park itself, or
For the
pavilion?
for the pavilion, for the use of the pavilion, management of the pavilion, as well as the bridal suite, things of that nature.
Okay.
Only.
Second. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of pushing this out for public bids for management, for lack of a better term, of the pavilion and bridal suite at Pace Park, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Being that passes 3-0. Next item is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
So moved.